Getting one more political row done for 2024, Chancellor Scholz confronted the Bundestag this week to confirm that yes, they really didn't think he could run the country anymore. So the members convened to shout at each other one last time and get their Christmas ducks in a row in time for the New Year election campaign. Meanwhile, the AfD is sticking to its anti-European roots while appealing to the racist side of people of all colours. That's the festive spirit. Ho ho ho.
In Berlin's heart, where news is unveiled, Meghan and Conrad with German tales. The German news, it's tough to bear, but with mega cans, they're ready to head Conrad, daily news at hand. Meghan feels to spare time to crack those cans. With each sip she takes, the mag is her shield. But will it last the news? 'Cause that was the deal.
Hello listeners, this is Conrad from Meghan's Megacan obviously, and I just wanted to point out that we do actually have a Patreon page where you can give us a little bit of money to help us keep doing this, to buy us, we have to buy cans of cocktails every now and then, and just wanted to say that if you would like to give us a little bit of cash online, it would be very much appreciated. You'll find us under patreon.com/Meghan's Megacan. Thank you, and on with the show. Bye.
Hello, everybody. It's time for another episode of Meghan's Megacan. In fact, probably our last one of 2024. So get excited. I'm Meghan. I'm here in Berlin, and I'm here with Konrad Werner. Hello, Konrad.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. It's been a long year, hasn't it?
Fuck me.
Things have happened.
Anyway.
This year has been shit. There we go. I said it. I think it's politically been shit. It's personally been quite shit. I'm excited for it to be over.
Yeah, it can only get better.
That's what I said last time. I'm not making any big promises.
Probably can get worse as well.
Yeah.
Considering the things that are going to happen in the beginning of 2025.
We're not going to talk about that. That's a 2020, as I'm saying often in work today, that is a 2025 problem.
Yeah.
We can talk about that later. Right now, we're going to talk about German politics a little bit, what's happening.
Yeah.
Because things are actually happening. And yeah, we're going to need some alcohol. I got Lynchburg lemonades today because I thought we needed a little treat.
Yeah. It's Christmas after all.
It is Christmas. I wanted to get one of the Japanese ones because they are just the most delicious, but I couldn't find any, and I'm a bit worried in case they're going to disappear now.
Cheers.
Cheers. Oh, fucking hell, that's good.
That's great.
Content warning, everyone. I am so tired and so hungry that this mega can is going to hit me like a train. So let's talk about things before I
we'll try.
drunk. You've got about 40 seconds.
We'll try and pack in as much as we can. So, interesting. The big news this week is that Olaf Scholz was right to think that the Parliament has no confidence in him.
Yeah.
As he expected, they all voted, yes, we don't trust you to run a government anymore. There was did you hear about this? There was a slight worry that the AfD would, for tactical reasons, vote for him and so keep him in power against his own will, just for a laugh, just to piss him off, to stir up even more chaos.
Yeah.
That did not transpire, partly because the Green Party told their own delegates to abstain.
Oh.
In many cases. So a lot of government MPs actually abstained from the vote to ensure that Scholz would lose. And there would be no weird things happening like that.
Okay.
It was a bit of a story, but it didn't happen anyway, so we don't really need to talk about it. And then there was a big debate beforehand.
So just these votes of no confidence, it sounds kind of like dramatic, the thing, but these are like one of these sort of formal things they have to go through.
Yeah, to make sure that an
to be able to call the next election.
And
but they have to have a debate about it. God, how embarrassing! Everyone just talking about how Oh, they have no confidence in you.
No one likes you.
You're shit at your job.
And then he goes, well, it's not my fault.
It's fucking Christian's fault. He's a wanker.
Yeah.
And then Christian's like, well, I didn't like working with you anyway. I was like, well, then why did you fucking agree? Why did we have to listen to you for ages? You agreed to this.
Yeah, that is exactly what happened. We don't need to talk about it anymore. That was pretty much why. It was sort of seen as the starting event for the election campaign.
The sort of opener.
Yeah, so they kind of used their speeches, especially Scholz and Merz and Lindner, to sort of set out their stall, so to speak, for the upcoming campaign. And and it's also not very new in happening. It's actually happened 5 or 6 times since the war that there's been a no confidence vote like this to end in a government. Often SPD chancellors, SPDs have got a bad track record of getting to the end of legislative periods. They've always not always through their fault, but they've often failed to keep their coalitions together.
It's not the first time the FPD have done something like this, from what I understand. So maybe that was...
Yeah, they did. Yeah, the FDP switched sides. I think it was late 70s. Anyway, never mind.
Okay, anything happened in the debate? What were they chatting about?
Scholz basically said, well, this isn't my fault, and he kind of, surprisingly to many, he repeated a lot of his points about Lindner. He said something about his, he didn't have enough sittliche Reife.
What's sittliche Reife? Like...
I mean, maturity is the key word, not sittlich. Let's concentrate on the word that I do know how to translate. And this caused major intakes of sucking through your teeth breath, kind of, and then they got angry. What was maybe also notable was that Friedrich Merz sprang to the FDP's defense in his speech.
Oh,
and
gonna
said,
make himself some pals.
Yeah,
they're not gonna get into government, mate. Or they're not gonna get into parliament.
It seems clear that the CDU's line is going to be Scholz was a disaster, and if we are going to have to go into a coalition with the SPD in the next election, it'll have to be without Scholz. And Lindner, well, we'll see. Lindner, we'll just have to see if he gets into Parliament and if he's worth talking about. Yeah, so that happened. I don't really know what else to say about it, except we'll have to see what is going to, because all the parties now have to do conferences in the January. They're all planning conferences to finalise their manifestos. All the delegates vote together, and
because the manifestos were released today, were they? I think.
Yeah, these draft manifestos were released, and now the parties get to vote for them in the new year. And then there'll be a very...
sounds so exhausting. These poor fuckers. The last thing you want, I am so at the end of my professional rope that the thought of people being like, right, well, we're going to just do this massive thing called like 6 weeks into... Oh, no. Oh, God, love them.
So...
You just want to put a video on and lie down.
Would you like to hear the latest opinion polls?
No, because I think I saw them today. So no one gets to see the polls.
I mean, they are similar to the polls last time I mentioned them. They sort of, CDU is now on about 30%, and a couple of weeks ago they were on more like 33, 34%. The AFD is in second on 19%, which is a lot, and which is really scary, really. The SPD...
1 in 5 is a fascist.
Yeah. The SPD has caught up slightly, gone up by about 2%, going up to 17% in third place, so they're not far behind the AFD. And then you've got the Greens on 13.
I mean, they're looking a bit healthier. I feel like than they were, maybe, were they? Or the SPD and Greens? I don't know.
Well, the Greens have got their secret weapon. Well, it's not very secret, but their Chancellor candidate, Robert Habeck, is the most popular of the Chancellor candidates.
No.
According to the polls.
Please don't tell me those weird social media videos worked. Maybe he is speaking to some part of the German psyche that I'm just like, what? This man needs help.
No,
but sometimes I do find that, like, if I go to the theatre here, I'm like, what's happening? It's like all performance art, and I'm the only audience member because I cannot understand what the fuck anyone is doing there. To be honest,
well, maybe that is So Robert Habeck's social media videos are like performance art,
but people are getting it, and they're like, oh yeah, maybe that's true. I don't know.
So meaningful and symbolic.
Yeah, when he threw that black napkin over the camera, I mean, that's what I want in my Chancellor. Fine, guys, fine. He's probably better than fucking Martz. So.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So.
Okay, well, that's interesting.
So if they could vote directly for a Chancellor, the Germans apparently prefer Habeck to either Scholz or Merz or Alice Weidel of the AfD. Speaking of which...
Mind you, that is fucking... Talk about the best of a bad bunch. You're really down to the... the dregs. You're picking your basketball team in PE. You're like, oh, whoa, okay, yeah. Robert... Fine. I don't want the other ones. They're really weird.
He'll have to do. But yeah, it's unlikely that he will become Chancellor because his party is not as popular.
No.
As he is. And yeah, FDP on 4%, which is below the 5% they need. The Linke is even lower on 3%, which is looking really bad. But they also have a secret weapon, which is... Project Silverlocks.
No.
So there was a story with the Linke.
No.
So the Linke have 3 older men who German people still like. And these 3...
Oh my God, silver locks like hair.
Yeah.
No.
As
like
in,
Goldilocks. Oh, this is how tired I am.
It's like silver foxes.
No.
So to speak. Although... They don't have much hair. Well, so they have 3 parties. 3 of their. Oh, hang on. I've got to find the actual article. But so
this is gonzo journalism here, guys. Close the tab. Shit, I don't know what I'm talking about anymore.
Yeah. The Linke
so the
in a mess.
Total mess. That we don't know what they've lost. They've bled all this. What's Bundestag Wagenknecht?
So they, the regular listeners will remember that they split off from the BSW, the Bundestag Wagenknecht, who are also not doing amazingly well, but they're doing slightly better than the Linke. They're on, according to the latest poll, they're on 4%, only 1 point ahead of the Linke.
They're sort of more regionally popular in sort of former East states, where they're actually in some of the governments now. They've finally kind of formed...
In Brandenburg,
Brandenburg. And is it not somewhere else as well? Or is it just
no, the Sachsen... I'm not sure about Thüringen yet. I'll have to get back to you on that.
I can't remember.
But
I read something about it this week.
That's too many things for me. That's too many tabs I have to open on the fly.
It's the
anyway, yes.
tail end of the year.
Although I should mention that another poll did have the BSW at 8%. So they might be doing slightly better. So they might well get into Parliament. Anyway.
So, sorry, to go back to... So Die Linke are in an absolute shambles. So they're trying to scramble and be like, right, what can we do? What do we need? And so what we've decided is we need 3 old men with silver hair. Not even very much silver hair.
And they've kind of teamed up. So we've got Bodo Ramelow, who you'll remember was previously the state premier of Thüringen.
Yeah, very popular.
Very popular. Man. We've got our own Gregor Gysi.
I was going to say, I hope Gregor Gysi's in there. This is sounding better. This is better than like when the CDU do this. And
still going to be candidate in the next election. I keep forgetting that he's still in. He's actually still in
I
Parliament.
Don't know that much about him, other than I know your brother is a big fan of him.
Yeah, which is unusual.
Which is unusual because Basti doesn't have much opinion on other politicians.
Yeah.
But every time I've sort of heard him quoted or doing something, I'm like, that seems like a fair and reasonable statement.
Yeah.
But,
he says funny, and he's also quite funny.
Yeah, and he seems like not just like a consummate kind of politician, but also like a consummate human. You know, like he's good at being a person in the world. Like he can talk to people and...
Yeah, well, in fact, I can heartily recommend his podcast, if you can speak German, but it's quite fun. He does long-form interviews with various politicians and public figures, and they are really quite entertaining. Kind of just ask them. He doesn't really get very political, but he asks them about their lives, and it's quite biographical. And he did one recently with Gerhard Schröder, which was quite funny. Went on for 2 hours, and he does it live as well. It's quite good. Anyway.
Okay, so those two, Bodo Ramelow, Gregor Gysi. Have you found the third man yet?
No. I was hoping you'd keep talking.
Okay, I can definitely keep talking. Wow, this is really... We've got some good alliteration in Gregor Gysi and some assonance, really, in Bodo Ramelow. Those are good things.
Dietmar Bartsch.
Dietmar Bartsch, also assonance. Definitely into this. Okay, cool.
Who is not as much of
I don't know Dietmar Bartsch. Tell me about him.
He used to be the leader of the Linke, and until quite recently he was, but he definitely does not have the same public profile as the other two, shown by the fact that I couldn't remember who he was for ages.
Yeah.
So that is being known as Project Silverlocks.
But what is their point?
Well,
they're going to up their profile and they're going to lead the sort of unified linker?
Yeah, they're going to kind of go on the offensive on the campaign trail and try and drum up support. I actually, the new co-lead, one of the two new co-leaders of the linker are Heidi Reicheneck and Jan van Aken, and I actually once met Jan van Aken. He's pretty cool.
Yeah?
Yeah, he's he did a lot of work on German weapons exports and complaining about them. So I actually quite like him. But anyway, we'll have to see.
Come on, Die Linke, I think we need to be able to lean into like narrative and stuff on the left. And obviously this is all that we're talking about at the moment. Like, how do we unify the left? How do we combat this? Fine, get 3. I mean, I don't know if I'd call it Project Silberlocken. Particularly as I'm fairly sure they're quite bald, no?
Gysi's pretty bald.
Yeah.
The others have still got some hair going on.
Some wisps of silver hair.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Fine. Let's see what happens. We haven't got very long though, have we? Because no one's going to be paying attention to a goddamn thing.
No.
Before like January 10th.
No.
We're going to have to deal with a fucking orange twat bag coming back into the White House, which I might just completely ignore.
Yeah, we've got until February 23rd when the election is. Anyway, on the other end of the political spectrum, currently in second place in the polls, is the AfD, who sent out their draft manifesto to their delegates last week ahead of their conference early next year. And some people noticed or raised their eyebrows the fact that they have want Dexit, as in Germany's exit from the EU, still in their election manifesto, despite the fact that they had this already in their election manifesto in June for the European election.
But that's kind of their origin story, isn't it? Like, do they need to keep that up just to... Because surely no one in Germany... You can't look at the absolute burning shit heap that is the UK now, particularly from a German perspective, and go, yeah, that's cool. Like, even if you are right-wing, is it popular?
Well, no. 87, according to a poll made earlier this year, 87% of people said that if there was a referendum now, they would vote to remain in the EU. And so some people have been asking like why the AfD still has this on its platform, because earlier this year, at the beginning of this year, they actually were more ambivalent about it. Alice Weidel said that it is only a plan B, and Tino Kruppala, the other leader who no one remembers the name of, he said that it's too late for Germany to get out of the EU. Now they actually want to scrap the EU altogether, hold a referendum, and if they win the referendum, they would hope for a Europe of fatherlands, is how they termed it.
Fuck me. Wow.
Yeah, which is another little Nazi reference for you.
It really
for
is.
People to... An association of states that would include a common market, so it's not quite the hard Brexit of Brexit, and an economic and interests community, and
but not all that like namby-pamby stuff about human rights and equality and stuff like that. Oh, okay,
and bailouts. They don't like bailouts. So as you very astutely pointed out, this is their origin story.
It shocked you a little bit, didn't it?
Yeah.
I could hear you laughing. I was like, is he laughing at origin story? It's not very...
Well, I thought that I was going to... it was really good because you kind of cut to the chase, because that is the whole point. That is you kind of,
Yeah, they started this kind of... When it was sexy on the right to do that, before Britain showed us just what a fucking disastrous idea it was.
Yeah.
It was this kind of trending thing. When did the AfD start? Were they
2013.
2013.
And you're right, they were founded basically by economists and academics who were against the bailouts of other European countries.
Who were just being cunts, basically.
Especially, yeah.
I mean, I don't really understand enough about the economics of the EU, but I know if you are the one with the loads of money going, we don't think we should be bailing people out, like, I think that's a dick move. And Germany loves getting on their high horse and telling us all now how cool they are. Let's go back a little while and see who might need some money.
So earlier this year, one of Germany's leading economic institutes, the IW, concluded that if Germany left the EU, we would lose 690 billion euros and cause the country's GDP to shrink by 5.6%, which is basically a mega recession. Because unlike Britain, Germany is part of the euro, and also, unlike Britain, has much more exports to other EU countries.
Yeah.
And so it would be considered a massive disaster, especially for small and medium businesses, small and medium-sized businesses. There's an association of small and medium-sized businesses called the BVMW.
That was very
BVMW.
bilingual.
BVMW, who called the AFD's plan an economic kamikaze mission.
Oh.
Yeah, so I actually talked to an AFD spokesperson today.
Did you?
Yeah.
God love you. I'm so sorry. Thought I'd had a bad day.
And I said, A, it's really unpopular, and B, all these economists saying it's just a really, really bad idea. Why do you still have it in your manifesto? And he said, well, look at Brexit. Brexit wasn't the massive economic catastrophe that it was predicted to be. This is contradicted by another study
By
came out.
facts. And being able to just look at stuff.
Yeah, so yeah.
But this is also the thing. It's like, oh, Brexit wasn't such a catastrophe. Well, it was billed as good.
Yeah.
It's not this catastrophe. It's now the narrative is like, oh, there was this catastrophe to be avoided. But it was like, no, this was built. Sorry. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway.
Study contradicting.
There was a study of the effects of Brexit over the last few years, and it came to the conclusion that by 2035, Britain will have lost 3 million jobs. But on the other hand, Germany's economy is not doing that well either. So
No.
it is, in general, I don't know. I don't know enough really about economics, but
I mean, I don't know
it doesn't
that
seem like
much
a good idea.
about how Brexit exactly has played out. And obviously it's very complex, and I'm not living in the UK and haven't lived there for ages. But I just think in general, to look at the fucking havoc that whole process has wreaked on the UK, how divisive that was, how toxic that debate became, the arguable referendum interference from things like Cambridge. Like, you don't look at, even if everyone is still as well off as they were before, which I don't think is true, you don't do that to your country. We don't need to add flames to this burgeoning culture war, which is just what Brexit became, like this cipher for all of the nasty shit that people wanted to say out loud or be superior about. Considering how traumatic it was.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know what the UK would have to be doing now for us to be like, do you know what? It was actually worth all of that. We can look at it and be like, oh, well, maybe it's not as bad as it, but it wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth going through what that was and making. And it was
definitely a disaster for small businesses. I mean, they all went out of business. They all just lost. They couldn't sell to the EU anymore. It was awful. And I don't know if you've tried to post a letter to the UK recently, but it takes fucking ages now, and it's
annoying.
really inconvenient and annoying. Yeah. And if you buy anything from a UK company, forget about it. It's like you might as well buy it from Mongolia. Yeah. Anyway,
so that's cool, but AFD are forging ahead.
AFD are forging ahead in
Dexit.
that. Yeah, I can just to reassure you a little bit. It wouldn't be as easy for Germany to leave the EU on other grounds, on constitutional grounds, because it is in the German constitution, Germany's membership of the EU, which would mean that even they would need a 2/3 majority in the parliament to get it through, even with a referendum and all that other stuff. Even if they won a referendum, which they're not going to win anyway. But it wouldn't, it's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen anytime soon. So don't worry about it.
Could you just touch wood for me there just 1
Touch wood.
second? Because we do have a second Trump term going. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Conrad has touched wood, everyone. It's fine.
For listeners at home.
Cool.
To be on less reassuring terms, the AFD has started to quite deliberately seek out the votes of people with immigration background, as they say.
That doesn't surprise me.
An interesting example is, do you remember a guy called Maximilian Krah? We talked about him earlier this year. Actually, Maximilian
Why did we
Krah.
talk about him? Was he...
He was the AFD's candidate in the European election, and then they had to sack him
because he was spying for China or something.
He had someone in his office who had connections with China.
Yeah.
And then he did an interview with an Italian newspaper where he said fascists aren't that bad.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
And the SS weren't that bad.
Okay.
That guy, he's also the AFD's biggest...
Maybe the quote was taken out of context. How much fucking context do you have to give to saying the SS weren't that bad?
That guy, and who is also, you'll remember, the AFD's biggest TikTok star.
Oh,
he's like a 45-year-old man who's doing really well on TikTok. He's really good at... That guy, a quote from him I have here is, Einwanderung ist Völkermord. Immigration is genocide. And... But he has also said Turkish Germans should vote for the AFD. And he seems to be, like, there are a lot of... I haven't seen a study about this, but there is a sense that it's become a bit more of an issue in the media, that more and more, that the AFD is deliberately targeting people of immigration background. And there are more and more people on YouTube of colour who are advertising for the AFD. It seems to be part of their strategy.
Yeah.
Especially Turkish people who feel, and there's like a variety of different reasons. I've got an article here by Die Zeit who interviewed several different people, and they had different reasons for why they would want to vote for the AFD. Like some of them are kind of like right-wing Turkish people who would vote for Erdogan.
Yeah.
Back in
of which
Turkey.
there are quite a few in Germany, from what I understand.
Yeah, and then there's also quite a lot of Russian Germans who are pro-Putin and like the AFD because they see the AFD as the most pro-Putin of the German parties, which they are.
Yeah.
Then there are sort of more interesting kind of weird cases. Nadira, an African German who considers herself anti-racist and a feminist, she said she would be voting for the AFD because there are too many people are coming into this country who do not share the values of this country, and she feels like the AFD is the only party that is opposing political Islamism with any kind of authority.
Okay, there we go. It's like, where is this going to go? Oh, it's Islamophobia. Yeah. Oh, that's cool. It would be interesting to see, and I think it's probably quite hard to, like you said, like get the actual numbers, like, but it's obviously like such a tactical, cynical move on behalf of the AFD, and it also preys on a whole load of insecurities about like people trying to assimilate to a culture or to find their, and also if we have a political narrative which is around migration is a net minus, and if people emigrate to this country you are going to be worse off, which is not true, then people who've maybe been here for longer, and like this is not just a German thing, this is like what you see everywhere. Like if my family have been here for one generation or two generations more, then I have more of a right than people who are just currently immigrating. It's the same fucking shit.
Yeah.
It's just, and then like the media role in this is also weird. Like, and I wonder how it's being reported on, because I just find sometimes this coverage is like, look at this phenomenon. Isn't it strange? Rather than going, well, these are people that are just as much of victims of the AFD's populist bullshit as anybody else. And obviously what the AFD are a racist, white supremacist party.
Yeah. Some people said that when they talk to, when, for example, the AFD talks about remigration, which is like one of this term that started at the beginning of the year, and they said, well, they don't mean me because I now have a German passport.
They don't give a fuck.
Yeah, and she said the various people that the Zeit interviewed said that there are too many immigrants who don't try and integrate, and the AFD is the only party that addresses this issue.
So weird. But this is also just like our disgusting white supremacist chickens coming home to roost. Like we
export this all over the world. The idea that there are your proximity to white Western hegemony is going to somehow save you or make you more valid as a person and therefore need more rights. And in order for that to be true, then there has to be someone else. And it's so gross. But like, did Zeit like actually say to these people, yes, but what about the fact that AfD said like also people with German passports? Like they don't care. Like they.
Yeah. No, they don't. I mean, they don't care, or they don't feel like that they mean it seriously, or whatever. There's
like,
lots of different
this
reasons.
Is we've literally been through this before. Like, oh, maybe they don't mean it. They're being extreme just to get votes, and then like, come on.
Speaking of citizenship, how did you do in your
tests?
tests?
I don't know what I will say. So I went along.
What was it like?
To not last Friday, but the Friday before, to the Berlin EK, and it is up in Wittenau, which is quite far away from where I live. But I have to say, it's like a small little language school, and it seems lovely. Staff were lovely, really helpful, really welcoming. It seems to have like, it's kind of in this kind of like house. And if you want to go and do like a German course or whatever, it seems like it would be a very nice, welcoming place. I think they had like a little kitchen. It just had you know, when a place has like a nice vibe, you're like, this seems nice. And everyone is like, you know, trying to make everybody feel at ease about this slightly scary exam that you're all doing. So that being said, I was sort of hoping, I basically went in, and I don't get very nervous about written exams anyway, and I should, and I'm kind of cocky, and I basically just went in and did what my students do, and it drives me crazy in that I'm like, yeah, I speak German, I'm going to be fine, like I've been here, I've got a fucking political podcast, what can they ask me? The thing is, if they ask you things, the questions are very specific. I would just say, go and revise for the test. Go through those 300 questions and then you will learn them. Because I was hoping I was going to go in and be like really quick, like 100%. But because I'm a dick and I hadn't properly revised, I spent quite a lot of time working out like how many questions I knew I had to get to pass and how many questions I was a bit unsure of. And like counting up if I was just going to get the requisite amount to pass. So I've like the front of my exam paper has just got like loads of little sums in it. So I think it's fine if you aren't a dick and you revise, and I can recommend that language center. And to be honest, it happened pretty quickly. Like, I don't know, we talked about the difference between that and like the Volkshochschule. Contact those schools. I think we put the link up in the links in the thing. Who knows when I'm going to get the results. I don't think I'm going to be a German citizen by the 23rd of February. But it was probably a very pleasant, I think if you'd looked at the questions before and weren't a complete dick like me,
so
you'd be fine.
What other hoops do you have to jump through?
So, let's just look it up, shall we? Okay, I need to live in Berlin. Done. I either live here for 5 years, or you can do 3 years under certain circumstances. Or you can do 3 years after marriage.
Oh, yeah. They always favour married people.
Oh, please, don't even start on that. Then I have to, I think, then do the test. I have to blah, 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 blah. And then it's like B1 German. And I can't be like, I can't have any convictions or any open processes against me. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Yeah, so I think I'm done now. And I just need to get the documents together. I don't know what they're going to ask me about, like...
Do you have to go somewhere? Have you got another... Because you said you don't think you'll become German by February 23rd.
I've got to go now look at this and try. And I think you can do an online thing.
Right.
And then they'll either approve or deny it. And then presumably if you approve it, you have to go and like officially get angedeutscht.
Okay.
I don't know if you swear anything.
Oh yeah, you've got to swear allegiance to the German Constitution.
As long as it's not Benjamin Netanyahu, I'm all right.
Well, and allegiance. You don't have to. It's not like if you become British, you have to sort of recognise the king, don't you? But I think you have to sort of. Yeah, you do have to.
You have to do something, but I don't think it's like a big formal. Like my partner did, and it was just like basically at the desk of the lady in the Standesamt.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will keep you all updated.
Yes.
Go do your Leben Deutschland test. It's totally fine, I think.
It was
I
easy.
just really
what did they ask you?
Snookered myself.
Give us a sample question.
So it was quite funny because they kept being like, oh, Germany and its responsibility to this, that. And I was like, we're kind of pussyfooting around the issue here.
And then my first question was like, something Adolf Hitler. I was like, oh, okay, let's go. It was kind of weird, like some weird...
What was the Adolf Hitler question?
They're all multiple choice. So like in 1936, Adolf Hitler established a democracy, B, party time, C, dictator, D, whatever.
Yeah. His own TikTok account. So it was like one of the questions is obviously wrong.
Yeah, so a lot of them, well, no, they're actually, well, yeah, some of them are more difficult. A lot of it is if basically you have some understanding of how kind of quote unquote Western democracies function in terms of their constitutions and the values and all of that kind of stuff, you can work out what they are.
Yeah.
But then there's other sort of like specific things like what kind of economy did the DDR have? And like Planwirtschaft, but like there was other like normal Wirtschafts there. So luckily I kind of just knew that one. Which of these countries does Germany not border? That was a fucking guess and a half, let me tell you.
Oh, yeah.
2 of them were easy, and then it was like Luxembourg or Bulgaria. And I was like, I don't know. And then I was literally like, I swear to God, if we had a border with Bulgaria, I would hear a lot more about like racist shit about Bulgarians. So I went with Luxembourg.
Well done.
Yeah. Or like Bulgaria. I was like, no, it doesn't border Bulgaria. So I was like, and that's the kind of vibes.
Based on German racism, you got that one right.
And that's what I mean, like the vibes-based stuff. But there was some vibes-based stuff where I was like, dude, I didn't know how many fucking years there are between Bundestag elections. I was like, how do I not know this? How do I not know this? I think it was also like, what does the CDU stand for, as in the letters, not what do they stand for? Because I could have written some extra notes there.
I think you passed.
It
sounds like you passed.
I don't know. It was a way more uncomfortable experience than I thought, but that I think is just literally because I walked into that exam being like, pfft.
And who else was there? Was there who were you sitting with?
I think there was like quite a mix of people, and it's also kind of a fun thing to do. Like I'm very privileged in that I've never had to, my passports have allowed me to kind of like, and freedom of movement within the EU to kind of go and do whatever I want. I also have like Canadian passport. So I haven't been in these kind of like situations before where I've had to go through like an immigration or visa application process ever. And I guess it's kind of fun in that way that you're sitting with like quite a broad, I guess we were all around about the same age, which is interesting, but a few Ukrainians there, I think. I don't know, this is literally just me looking at people's passports because you had to have your ID with you, and various other countries as well, which is cool. And I think a lot of people had been doing courses at the school, so often these courses are attached to like a B1 course. So you do the language test and then the Leben in Deutschland in one, because they kind of knew each other, or like the teacher, like the people administering the test, knew them. Okay. So it was a nice experience.
Okay.
The only bad thing was my own lack of preparation, but literally they give you the 300 questions you're going to be asked. Just go through them, because I would say of those questions, there's maybe 40 or 50 that are not obvious kind of vibes questions about like what's it like to be in a democracy, or to have like human rights or equality, like shit like that. There's like specific German geography or history or politics questions that you just need to learn. Okay.
Well, I'll be waiting on a tenterhooks to hear how it goes.
Can you imagine if I fail? I am going to be fucking mortified.
I know, as a teacher as well.
Mortified.
How will you face your students?
Honestly, I won't tell them. I just have to go back and do it again. How embarrassing. But I think the biggest challenge would probably be like the German, but you can also, that's something you can kind of like learn just to learn the keywords and stuff. You're not having to produce any language. It's all
just have to sound German.
No, you just have to check boxes. You don't have to do any of that. That's for the B1, which is a lower level than the German, I would say, on this test.
Okay.
But yeah.
Good. Well,
so that's what I've been doing.
Looking forward
festive. To well, this is it. This is 2024 of MegaCan. I am binned. Like I have about one schluck left of this mega, and it might just.
Oh, we don't have to do festive tips.
That's fine. I don't really have any. Just have a lovely time.
Have a great Christmas.
Like, just turn off the news.
Yeah.
Do whatever makes you feel good. Don't do stuff that is weird.
like, or is going to make you feel weird, or that you feel obligated to do, unless it's one of those things you feel obligated to do, like, but you know at the end it will actually make you feel good. Okay. I sometimes feel like we maybe let ourselves off the hook a little bit too much sometimes.
About what?
Sometimes, like things you just don't want to do, but actually when you do them, you feel better. Like, do those things.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that happens to me all the time.
Yeah. Most things I don't want to do. But the things that you're like, at the end of it, I'm going to feel worse.
Yeah.
Don't do those.
Yeah. That is a great tip for life, not just for Christmas. Yeah.
As always, Conrad, it's been an absolute pleasure sort of hearing the news from you.
Thanks for accompanying me.
I can't imagine anyone else.
Through the whole of 2024. We've
fucking hell, we
ticked off another year.
We have. Wow.
Okay.
Take care, everybody. Happy whatever you celebrate.
Yeah.
Happy Christmas, happy Hanukkah, happy whatever else.
Happy just hanging around and drinking
in your pajamas
on your sofa.
Festive tips. I heard someone refer to Baileys as Christmas milk the other day, so do with that what you will.
Leave that to your imagination. Good.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Can German news in English with a cocktail can. The German news, it's quite a test. With Megan's Mega, you're feeling refreshed. Ooh. Megan's Mega can. German news in English with a cocktail can. Deutsche Nachrichten sind düster und schwer.
Defy the fear.
Yeah.
It's actually it's quite a positive message to give to people.
So.
I like to think that we have quite a positive impact on our listeners.
I hope so.
Because we try and get them to defy the fear of listening to the news all day.
I mean, it's better than reading a German newspaper. Surely.
I would definitely recommend listening to our podcast more than reading any German newspaper.
German newspapers barely have pictures. Like fucking, it's just a brick of text.
Oh yes, and they seem to make a virtue of it. They think it's like so great to have no text.
Not like you Americans
no
with your fucking
colour pictures,
decadent pictures in your newspapers.
Yeah,
What's that? A crossword puzzle? Oh, no wonder you had Trump. Jesus Christ, everyone! Like, there's a middle ground.
You have to concentrate on the news. It's very important, and you have to like keep this there.
Just have a mega.
Have a mega. Give us a picture every now and then.
Just a wee picture, maybe of, a diagram.